Welcome to the While My Batteries Charge podcast. Join us as we talk about all things radio controls. And now, your host,
Folks, this man, he is the king.
Mr. CCxRC himself, Tony CC.
Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another While My Batteries Charge podcast. We're going to have a great episode today. We've got Joe here from Exocaged RC. We're going to talk to him. I met him for the first time at USTE down in Florida. I guess it was last month now. Time's flying. Anyway, he's here, and we're going to bring him in here and have a little conversation with him and see what's going on. What's up, Joe?
Hey, man, what's happening?
Not much, man. It feels like longer, I think, than it's actually been since USTE happened. I know my life's busy. I know you're crazy busy.
All the time. Working and working.
Yeah. You go from work and then you do YouTube, which people don't realize, but it's a lot of work.
It's a second job.
Yeah. Well, it was really cool to meet you at USTE. USTE was
awesome.
Amazing, first of all. And why don't you, you've been there before. We'll start with USTE. Let's talk a little bit about that. Actually, no, let's pause, rewind. For people that might not know who you are, let's start there. Joe from Exocaged RC, tell us about what you do with YouTube and kind of how you got into RC.
Well, a little history of me. Back when I was a kid, I was into RC and had the Xtras, Blue Eagle, and all that. And then life happened. Had to get a job, pay bills. And now that I'm a little older in life, I've got all that stuff under control, and now I'm back into these things right here. So as far as the channel goes, the whole daily video thing kind of started by accident. Just over a year ago in November, I just had so much content that I had to get up, and I just kept it going.
So you're doing it daily now. You went from how many were you posting before?
About 3, maybe 4. And I just had so much waiting to go that I started going daily. And heck, the last few days, I think I put up 2 a day.
Wow.
Which is a rough schedule, but I'm going to cut that back to 1 a day.
2 a day. But you had a lot to get through, too, probably, to get to the stuff that you're currently doing.
Right. And there's a timeline you got to keep, Guys that follow your channel, they'll know, why was your hair cut yesterday's video, but not today?
Uh-huh.
They see all that stuff,
Yeah, or so for me, I'm one of those guys, I'm just anxious to post it. So if I did it that day, I'm wanting to share it, because I'm excited about what it was. So the holding on to things for me is very tough.
Yeah. If I don't when I get a Saturday off of work or a Sunday with no events that I've got to go take care of, all throughout the week when I get off of work and come home, I set up for that one day. And that one day I record could be 6, 7, maybe even upwards of 10 videos.
Wow.
As far as the driving part and the action parts of it. And then when I get back in, I usually edit 1 or 2, but I edit during the week and put them up. Usually on Mondays or Tuesdays, I may upload 3, 4, or 5 videos though.
Okay, so you've got them just from doing them on Saturday, and
yeah.
So that's a totally different schedule than I run. Mine's literally I go out and I'm backlogged right now, and I hate it because if I don't get something up the same day that I shoot it, the chances of me getting it up every day go down 25%. Every day that I wait. It's because it's not as interesting to me, and it's my own fault. I get bored. So, I literally go and shoot something. Yeah, if I go and shoot something, I'm editing and I'm posting it usually at 1 a.m. It's just done, upload, and then that means the next day I've got something else to shoot because I'm out of stuff.
Mine are uploaded, and I put them all for the channel members. And sometimes they'll find major issues Like I'll be recording something I shouldn't have. Like dirt or sky.
Yeah, and they'll point it out.
And they'll point it out, and I'll edit it and re-upload it.
Okay. Now that's pretty awesome, actually.
Yes.
I'm going to learn some stuff tonight. I have a feeling. Some tips. Because I need to get into that thing where, because I know JTRC does the same thing where he'll shoot a bunch and have them preloaded so that if he's not able to shoot a certain day, if it's raining or whatever, he still has stuff he can post.
Right. I usually try to keep 2, 3, maybe even 4 videos just kind of sitting back, waiting for those rain out days. But still, there's a timeline you have to keep. And like, say, I have a whole list of videos that I want to put up, but all of a sudden, now the Ryft shows up. It's hot. It's fresh.
You got to do it right then. Yeah.
Exactly.
So do you reschedule the one that's already up on YouTube, or do you just let 2 drop?
It all depends, in all honesty. If the video I put up is a flop, if it's dead on arrival, then I start looking at my other videos to try to bring the channel back up. So, but the Ryft videos have been doing great. It's currently broken after that last bash video. Okay.
But you have those Vitavon axles on. Well, you broke a just a link, right? Or a rod end.
Yeah, I broke a rod end and I bent the rear trailing arm.
Oh, that's right. The plastic one.
Right. I took them into work and actually made some plates to go on there.
Okay.
And tonight I was going to put them back on so I could go video tomorrow, and I left them at work.
Oops. So are those the same trailing arms as the SMT-10?
No.
They longer or shorter?
They are longer, and the SMT is shorter. And the Losi Baja Ray, the 110, is just a couple millimeters shorter, but they work.
Oh, okay.
Now, we got the Vitavon arms that are about to come out as well.
Okay.
So I'll be getting those. I've got on order the new Vitavon housings. I've been doing Vitavon stuff for about 3 years now.
Wow.
So I've got, I'm afraid to add up some vehicles. It would hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Especially the UDR. I think I have everything he has for the UDR on. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, and you like the build quality, everything. Because of you, I ordered up the LMT ones. So,
man, those things. Did you see how they were torn apart? So the guy posted the pictures. It's like a Ford 9-inch in there. I got bearing caps and all that, dude.
It looks really good. Really good.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you're running. You have the Trio ones on your LMT right now. And
they will come off.
They're going to come off. Well, if you sell them, I know there's a lot of people that would want them. Everyone's trying to get their hands on
them anywhere.
Yeah. You can't find this stuff. It's so hard. Even the plastic ones you can't find.
Well, they basically cut all that out, but they did the redesign, put the webs in there, you know?
Yep.
But I think AMA shows May.
Yeah.
For the new ones, May 13th or something like that.
Well, it's probably because of Chinese New Year, all that kind of stuff. And then that is a definite slowdown of anything shipping out. So
absolutely.
Then it's catch up, and then you got to wait for it to arrive and all the custom stuff and all that. So it's probably inaccurate by the time things ramp back up and get moving. I think is a safe call on their part. So you like the Ryft. You were going nuts with it.
Yeah.
There's so much power.
Yeah. It's got I've got the Castle Monster X with the Holmes 2100 motor in it. And Holmes actually commented in my thread that he recommended a different one for this. And when Holmes comments on your thread about a motor or something, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because that guy is the motor guy.
He knows his stuff. That is for sure. I watch half of his videos and I'm like, you know, at about 2 minutes in, it's over my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, so tell me about, I haven't even really seen one. I saw it in person. I love the way that the battery and all that kind of fits in there. It's it seems like a nice compartment for it. But other than that, the
Ryft?
shocks felt good. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ryft, the design overall is good. I saw a video today by a guy, and he was one of the early testers, and he tried to get them to put a sway bar in it, but for some reason they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Or something like that. There's an issue on the front, and he actually done what I'm going to do to mine. On the compression, the top links actually hit the bottom of the battery tray.
Oh.
So if you try to bring that front down level, so your links and all flat, like what a bouncer should be, you only have about maybe a quarter inch of up travel.
Gotcha.
And if you're bouncing and that axle bottoms out to the chassis, all that momentum goes to the chassis, and now you're up in the air.
Yeah.
You want that axle to absorb the hit.
Not only that, but the weight of the
tires, they absorb too.
It seems like the weight of the truck with the battery there coming down on that axle wouldn't be a good thing either.
It's not. And that could be possible, some of the breakage that we've seen. I was told, and I've read a few different times, that there was a problem in the mix of the plastic. It didn't have the fiber in it or something. And so maybe that's why all the early testers didn't really have any breakage. But then it was released overseas, and everybody's breaking them. It's like some people can take it out of a box, set it on a table, and it breaks in half. I don't get that.
Well, and people are saying that about the LMT too, like, oh, the influencers or whatever got them. And so I was one of the people that got one, but the one that I got was actually from the production run. So you know how they do a production run of them all, and then they put them on a container? Well, they take some of them and they put them on a plane. They have them airshipped, but they can't airship them all because of cost. So they'll airship like 18 of them to distribute to people. So it's still coming from that same batch. And so my son of a digger, my grave digger came early, like, cause that was for the video, but my son of a digger that I was beating up everywhere, that was part of that batch, because I had, what would have been my son of a digger from the chute was the one that got run over. And I let Hitmansky take it home. He said that he was supposed to get one in the next batch, and so I ended up taking his. But it came from that batch, and it did well. I mean, it took a beating, thousands of flips, and so it's still, I think, even within that, there's some that just, I don't know if it's like at the end of a batch, or each, the plastics are different, however many hundred it does, and then they have to refill. I don't know, So because mine, I mean, eventually I did strip out the screw, but I'd taken the axle ends off a couple times before I actually stripped that 1.5. Now, I have a thing where I don't think it should have been a 1.5 millimeter. I don't think there should have been any 1.5s on there.
Way too small out there.
For something that's that important, is too small. And the Trio ones weren't. They were 2 millimeter. So when they built theirs out. Yeah. So there's little things like that. I think it could be addressed even over time. But overall, I'm very happy with the truck, and it's a ton of fun. And I'm guessing that's what...
I never broke my stock plastic housing. But I'm not in the videos to show something just falling apart or to make negative videos. I don't really care for negative videos.
Yeah.
I want to promote the hobby. If something happens, then you're going to see it, obviously.
Right.
But
I don't ever hide anything, but my goal isn't to bash people about it. Like, so I'm in the same vein as you, because what good does it do? Because it doesn't change things, just as you could just as easily have a good attitude about it and have things get changed, because they don't. And the thing I try and tell people is they don't want to make a bad product. That's not their goal. Their goal is not to have a bad product, because they're in competition with the other companies. Let alone they don't want you going home and just having a terrible experience. So, and they're all hobbyists too. Like, they love running this stuff and they want it to work well. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, so, even when I did, like, there's times where I'm like, well, most of my trucks would break under that. And that's kind of what I find a lot of times. And, and maybe it's in the videos. I don't know how it comes across to people, because I do a lot of times blame myself when something breaks. And I heard you at the end of the Ryft video be like, well, that's, it should have broke at that point. Like, it's understandable.
that was a bad landing.
You beat it hard too. Like, and that's got to transfer somewhere now that you've got those Vitavon axles on there.
I gotta say, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I knew how to correct that. I mean, I did a previous video where I had the whole thing sideways, and I was able to tap the brakes and bring it back down. When I went up, the back end was coming up high. For some reason, I was thinking, X-maxx, which is a totally different beat. So I tapped the brake a little too hard, and then I was too late on the throttle, and it was just right there. And just,
yeah.
But hey, those were good brakes. Those were cheap brakes, actually.
Yeah.
Just a rod end and a plastic barn.
Yeah, because you haven't gone to metal arms yet. That's very common with those, right? Because even the SMT 10s, just even the weight of the truck coming down on it can make it crumple. I call it crumple. I don't know what the real term is.
That's what happened to mine. It kind of folded.
Yep, they crumple
so
in.
I pulled it back out and made some side plates, which I wish I would have brought them home. Now I could have showed you guys.
But yeah, I'm watching you, and I looked at it at the store, and I'm just like, not right now, because I have a custom rock bouncer that's based on a Ryft, has boom racing axles. They're all AR 60 based, Ryft transmission, but I have the hot racing one, so it's all metal geared, and I think the only part that's actually axial still is the skid plate, and the actual wheels and tires are still the Ryft ones, but everything else is, King shocks by RC 4-wheel drive, and there's some, like you said, if you don't like to add it all up, but
yeah, it hurts. It hurts my feelings.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and I was doing my taxes today. I was talking to you about, like, I was adding some of this stuff up, and I'm like, I'm not actually gonna add it all up. That's the thing. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah, but you got to add up all your deductions. If not, taxes are going to eat your lunch.
Yeah. Yep.
All your expenses with this, you have to treat it like a business.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're not going to be here for long.
Yeah. Oh, and I did everything, man. So that the list was very complete, and I think COVID had something to do with it too, being home a lot more. I think that was a bigger year as far as when I looked at the amount of things through the year. I was like, man, that was a lot.
Yeah. So, when COVID hit, my views took a dive, and then they started coming back.
Yep.
Way stronger than what they were before. Maybe people were just sitting around the house getting bored.
Well, new people have joined the hobby. It's been one of the biggest booms for the industry, because so many people are looking for something to do with their time, and to get outside, something to do. So tell me, we talked a little bit about how you got into it. What made you start making videos on YouTube before you started doing the 3 to 4 and all that?
I got the TRX4 Land Rover in 2017.
Yep.
I shot 2 videos driving down my road. I think they had a brushless Rock 412 in it, just blasting around, and all of a sudden it started getting views. And my buddy said, monetize that. I had 129 subscribers. I was able to monetize. And then when YouTube hit the 1,000 subscriber, 4,000 hours, I was barely above that. Just barely there, but I made it. And just kept on shooting videos. People started watching them and commenting, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it still is, really.
I tell you, some of the first stuff that I actually saw of yours was the testing, where you were doing like testing between 2 different things, and you'd set up like little experiments.
Yes.
I know you've done it with the glues.
The glue video, man, that one's doing great.
Yeah, I totally remember that one. You sold me on E6000, and I think you also sold me on Vibratite. Did you do something with Vibratite or no?
I don't think I did Vibratite, but when I went into that video, my number one glue was Amazing Goo.
Yeah.
That was it. That video changed my glue preference.
Wow. So what do you use now? Do you only use E6000, or do you use...
I have about 3 tubes of E6000, maybe some super glue, but yeah, I don't have the other glues anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
It changed my outlook on it.
Yeah, I do shoe glue still because I don't want it to be fully as good as E6000 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll do tires and stuff, and we'll just put a little bit in so we can easily remove them, but it'll keep them in place. Like the front tires of my drag car, the Reefs ones. I don't want my tires getting stuck on there, right? Those rims. So, but they also don't have to do a whole lot of duty, right? They're just front drag wheels. They need to spin and rotate and keep the wheel on. So
yeah, there is some G forces if you have to turn her correct.
Yep.
And then depending on how fast you go, it could have a lot of rotation.
Yeah.
So,
but so far, I mean, with the shoe glue around it, it's been pretty good.
Right.
But
and you can still peel it off.
Yeah. Yep. Heat it up and peel it off. So, okay. So you got in with the Traxxas TRX4. People started watching. You jumped in, and then yours grew fast. Then, if you were TRX4 and then already at that 1,000 threshold and all that, you moved pretty quickly then to where you're at now.
I think I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I just started doing videos, 2 a week. And then I got to the point where, okay, if I'm going to do 2 videos a week, I'm good for the next 2 months. So, okay, let's do 3 a week, maybe 4.
Wow.
And then November came around and I'm just loaded. So,
yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
So how do you...
That was when the channel took off.
The what was that?
That was when the channel took off, really, on the dailies.
Yeah.
Well,
people don't have to wonder when to come and watch. They know if they come, they're going to have something to watch. So,
and I really like to mix it up, You may have a crawler this day or an X-maxx the next day.
Yeah. Man, yeah, so that was the other stuff I saw of you, some of the first stuff. When you started doing some of the big X-maxx stuff, or then you took the Creighton 8S and you put huge power in that, and the tires were ballooning, and you guys were like jumping and landing on each other. There's a bunch of you guys out there.
Man, that's our Thursday night bashes. We'll get out there. It's an abandoned lot with a drain field.
Yeah.
We'll put ramps up, some bike ramps, and we'll sit there and just do front flips, back flips, and just have a blast. And we'll park one at about the landing area, and that's your target. See if you can hit it. We're just having fun.
That's awesome. But it was that stuff, because I was into crawling a lot more back in the day, because at work I worked about 5 minutes from a great park where there was all these woods and like the BMX jumps, and so every day at lunch I would go and I'd either shoot a crawling video or a bash video, and then at night I would edit it and upload it. And so almost daily, if the weather was good, I had content. And then there was a hobby shop that had tracks, indoor tracks and outdoor, that was 5 more minutes than that. So within 10 minutes of work, I had a whole bunch of stuff I could do. Well, I quit that job, and now it's like 25 minutes for me to get to those trails, and the hobby shop closed. So I don't have the trails. Like every once in a while, a buddy will say, hey, let's meet up Saturday morning and hit the trails. But other than that, like, I don't have trails that I go to, but there is a new hobby shop that opened that has an indoor course. And I have a membership there. So I'm getting back into it. USTE. So Axial Fest Badlands really got me back into crawling. It was amazing there. And then going to USTE, I hadn't crawled. Like the SCX-10-3 I built for Badlands last July, I hadn't used. I hadn't even troubleshooted the problem with the axe system that I had bought for it, which was the longer 550, and I guess there's some issues with it, but anyway.
Yeah, the back of the motor, if you have a servo up against it or something, you can actually pick up some interference, the magnetic.
Well, I took it out and put it near nothing, and it's still, if you hit forward, it'd go reverse, and it just does this really weird, it was messed up, and I didn't go in water with it or anything. I don't know. Sometimes they go bad, and again, I'm not going to write them off for it. I have a 1200 kV axe system that's amazing, and I have the Fusion system, which is amazing.
I love that little Fusion.
Yep. So I put the Fusion into the SCX-10-3, and it's been great. So I ran it at USTE, but that really got me back into it, getting the stuff ready for that, getting the Gen 8 ready for that. I'm ready. Like, I went crawling already since I've been back with some buddies. I'm going to go up to the trails and go again. But so it wasn't until I think it was probably the Creighton 8S stuff with you when I really started like, okay, I'm going to like check back in on this guy and see what his videos are. And then I'm watching your creep videos, and as you build your backyard track of just, you've got so much back there now with the different courses. Really good friends that help me. Yeah, I would hope. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm actually Javier.
Yeah. Operation 11 Charlie.
He's going to be in my backyard this Sunday.
Okay.
So I've been back there cleaning it up, getting things dressed up. We're going to have pizzas and crawling and all kinds of stuff.
And he's bringing the guys up, right? I heard.
Yes.
That's awesome, dude.
Yes, sir, he is.
That group. So I've known Operation 11 Charlie Javier since they first started doing their first rig, and gave in toward what they were doing, buying stuff. I didn't have a whole lot of spare parts that I thought were good enough to send down, so I just helped monetarily, and have been with them and following them ever since. And I'm working to hook them up for Axial Fest to make sure they have some Axial rigs, and I already ordered and shipped one down to them to get ready.
I'm not sure if I'm going to build something or just buy something and do some slight modifications to durability to do it. But at the USTE, I'm going to give him an entire setup to give away.
That's awesome.
I saw a lot that I really liked about that, so I'm definitely going to be a part of it.
Yeah. It was cool to see it in person, to go out on the trail with those guys for the first time, and to see the excitement.
We were out there. We caught up with them.
Yeah. And then they were doing that one tree one. Remember that was the big one, and they were so geeked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
So UST, well, talk about your track. A couple things, and people ask me about this. How do you get permission to do it? Just go for it, or do you have to get permission to do it, or you just went for it?
My backyard?
Yeah.
Well, it's my backyard.
Yeah, you just go for it.
Yeah, dude. I have a mortgage.
Yeah.
I'll go back there and do it.
Yeah.
If I was renting, it would be different. But luckily, I'm actually buying the place. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually got permission from both neighbors to build all the way out to like triple my size.
Wow.
But I learned a lesson at my local hobby shop years ago, because we actually built a racetrack. I was a race director, and I raced and all that stuff. When you build on other people's property, you're going to end up losing it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not building on their property. I'm just staying on my own.
Well, you do like competitions, and you have people out there with you. That's more, I guess, like people come in, no issues, or you've got parking to handle. I don't know, like how it all works. Yeah, you got space. Okay.
I used to host wheel truck events back there. I had big 3 and 4 foot culverts back there, big piles of rocks. That's where most of the rocks came from. A rock pile that I had that we used to do competition. We had log crossings back there.
So you got some room around you.
Yeah, I had trailers, all kinds of stuff in the yard. I had 20 different vehicles, and at that time, I did have the neighbor's yard cleared off, and I used that for staging.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been hosting events.
You got good neighbors, man.
Magazine, been on TV a few times.
That's so cool. But yeah, so you've got the space. My people always ask me, like, your neighbors put up with that, like with the gas cars and just the dust, and I haven't actually had a bunch of people out yet, and that's the thing I'm worried about is I don't have a ton of parking, so they'd be like parking in the street and all that. So I wouldn't want to draw too much attention to it, because we can probably only fit maybe 10 cars in our driveway.
Well, I tell you, your monster truck course, you got that thing set up pretty good.
It's a lot of fun.
All the little humps and the bumps right where they're at, and you know how to hit them. I can tell.
I've been trying to learn, and I've tightened it up, because And everybody, all the bashers want it like spread out and like big air. But for the monster trucks, keeping it tight like that and not having full speed and just getting the little pops, it's actually way more fun.
It's more scale too.
Yeah. So that's what I've tried to do is dial it back. And I still will throw it off the big ones every once in a while.
Of course.
Yeah, you got to. But I try to make them a mix so that they're big enough for the big trucks, like the Raminator, but it's not too big for the other trucks to hit. And then the wood ramps fill in and help kind of fix that out. But I really want to do something crawler. The problem is we've got like copperheads and all that out here that I don't really like giving nesting homes to all the snakes.
Here we have water moccasins.
Yeah.
And rattlesnakes.
Okay. Do you deal with them?
The last rattlesnake I saw was probably about 15 years ago. And I'm pretty sure it was close to like a world record, 14 feet or something.
Holy moly.
Its body was like this big around, but I've never seen it since. And I was probably only about 20 feet away from it. I have to assume that it had just eaten and it wasn't hungry, which is why I'm here talking to you.
Wow.
I know I walked past that thing a few times because I was back there moving rocks and stuff.
Yeah. So we go into like, once it gets warm, we don't go into the woods and stuff around here. So we're right off a swamp. And so we have the moccasins right there, and we have the copperheads. My neighbor got bit by one in a pile of, I guess, debris, stuff he'd had his house worked on. But he was picking up all the wood pile and throwing it into a dump trailer and got bit. He thought it was a nail, so he went back in, got bit again, I think. He was in the hospital for a day and a half or something. And then recovery was just a mess with his hand and all that, like movement and all that. So, yeah, we're a little bit leery. If I did anything, I'd probably try and do it more like yours, where you cement in the areas so that there's not spots for them to hide in. I wouldn't just stack rocks or anything.
Yeah, there are a few areas that I am worried about, and I got to get back to the mixer and actually fill them in. There are a few little pockets that they can get into, but like what you said, sealing all that in to keep them from being able to get in there is a big deal.
Okay, very cool.
It's for safety, everybody else, for everybody involved.
Do you have a favorite rig right now? That of your rigs that you have, is there one that you just are drawn to the most? One crawler and one basher. We'll do that. We won't make you choose one.
The crawler that I tend to grab most every time is that Axial Superlight. That little thing, it's amazing. Every time I think I build past it, like with Optimus 3, it's awesome, but I go back and I drop Superlight and I'm thinking, I haven't built any better yet.
Okay.
It's amazing. And as far as bashers go, X-maxx.
Yeah. I loved my X-maxx. I'll tell you what. I got rid of it because it was a 6S.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to get an 8S, and I just never did. But I wanted to get rid of it while it was still able to be gotten rid of. And I keep looking at them.
I recently picked up another X-maxx. And it's my second one. And the goal is to keep it stock. Just for reviews, comparisons, and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
If I do any mods to it, the mods will come off.
Okay.
You know, like gearing changes or something like that.
I had actually left mine completely stock. It was bone stock, the 6S one I had. Everybody wanted more power, more speed, but you've seen my yard. You run out of real estate real fast.
Exactly.
And I didn't really feel the need for it. Like, it's still pretty, even at 6S back then, it still moves. Now, where you're running it, like where you got big, wide open fields, the only thing I would probably want it for is backflips. They couldn't backflip.
That's the issue I've got with the stock one. It doesn't have the wheel speed.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't have the tire speed. And I was explaining that to a guy the other day. He was like, man, I want to get backflips on that. Okay, so you're going to have to gear up to spinning tires faster to get that gyro effect to bring it around. And it's like racing. When you're racing a 1.8 truggy, you have so much control in the air. It's crazy. The e-buggy's the same way. Short course, you don't have quite that much. But you have an X-maxx with a nice big set of tires on it. Yeah, you can pitch that thing. You can turn the tires and turn it sideways, just like I did with that Ryft.
You can whip it. Yep, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I need to get another one. It's just whenever, like, so, and I know you have to think about this too. And so that's what I love talking about other people that are dealing with some of the same things that I have to deal with. I'll start saving that money up for it. And when I get there, Losi drops a new drag car, or Arma drops, or Traxxas drops a Haas. So I was saving for the X-maxx and they dropped the Haas, but I'm like, everybody's got an X-maxx, not going to get the same amount of views as if I spend the money on the Haas. And so I'm thinking with my business hat on, like, I will make more money. I will get more money back if I buy this. Now, I want this one for my personal collection, but I need that money to go into something that's going to pay back.
And it's a sad thing because some people will actually hear this and think, oh, you guys are not in it for the fun anymore. Now you're in it for the dollar. But that's not really the case.
No, it's still fun.
Everything you guys see behind me when I'm out there driving and I'm laughing and I'm, like, holy cow, that's legit.
Yeah.
Most of it's luck, but still,
Well, and I have all my fun stuff already. Like, I don't think I've smiled as much ever as when I got the Raminator. Like, just ear to ear the whole time. Like, there was this, and there's like a nervousness when you drive it too. So you're just kind of like, it's a different level. But then the LMT came out, and it just makes me I laugh. I love that it gets upset. It gets on two wheels. You can save it, and it looks, especially if you do slow motion, it looks absolutely amazing to watch how that truck recovers from things that you.
Yes.
It recovers like it was an X-maxx or something, but it's a solid axle truck.
Yeah, I did a video that went up today. It was with the LMT with the 2650 Tekin. And there were a few comments about, oh, man, you really driving that thing good. And I told him, I said, it's a real easy truck to drive in the air.
Yeah.
It's easy to drive in the air. And then you try to explain to somebody how to drive in the air, and that can get to be a whole different topic.
Yeah, but that one just pops and it'll stay level. Like,
yeah,
you can just pretty much let off and it'll just sit. I just did a race video from it because we just raced him for the first time. So much fun.
I saw that.
Absolute blast. And we didn't get the run, but I had so I think the Creightons in that up to 6S, some of them running, most run at 4S because our tracks are pretty small for the monster trucks. But we've always had this electric class that was either back in the day, a lot of HPI Savages. Back then it was Nitro. There wasn't all this solid axle and whatever. They were doing monster truck racing with Savages and that E-Revos or even the Nitro ones. And so now it's come to where it's more solid axle. And that's good because it's what they wanted to be way back in the day was solid axle, realistic. And but they still run that class. And they were running like 15 seconds or whatever. I mean, they're stinking fast, low to the ground. And then I did my pro mod. I think it was 19 or 20 seconds was the fast lap pro mod, pro modified. So you can pretty much stick in whatever power you want. 2.6 wheels, the bigger tributes and all that. But then they had an LMT class for the first time, and there wasn't any really rules on it because they wanted to see if a box stock could compete with a kit version where people could put in whatever motor they wanted. And man, like mine was a box stock son of a digger. I pulled it out. It wasn't the one you saw. I have that and a Gravedigger in the box, and I have a kit over my shoulder here. But I pulled it out and basically put like the safety hoops on it. Safety loops for the drive shafts, which don't do anything. They just look cool.
Right.
And they're fragile because they're 3D printed. And I put on the Freestyle RC axle braces. And then I didn't have any tires for it because I gave Barry Musauer my he was asking if anybody had son of a digger wheels. I said, dude, here's a set. And so I didn't have any, but I had the Pro line, the new ones, and some wheels to put them on, Losi wheels. And those things hooked up, first of all, but it got 17-second lap time, like 16.9 or something. It was faster way faster than any of the pro mods. When I went back and did the other pro mod or the qualifying for the other, they felt slow. I'm like hitting the straightaway, like that's it, because they're just. But I was only doing the LMT at like half throttle because it was too much power for that little space, and so that all to say, it's a pretty killer truck out of the box. But I don't even know where I was going with it. I don't remember where we started talking before I started chatting away. But you've got one, and you were running it down at the USTE. You had it with you.
I had it with me, but I didn't get a chance to drive it. I was just so busy with the booth and then trying to cover the events and everything.
Oh, you didn't race it in the little racing?
Sir,
That's right. You were filming on the other side.
Yes, sir.
It was really fun on that track. I'll say that.
Yeah. The first year that I raced down there with the monster trucks and all that, I was racing my black truck with four-wheel steer.
Yeah.
And I got the win.
Oh, yeah?
Truck. The course was actually smaller than what we had. And with the four-wheel steer, all I was doing was just driving around the crashes.
Yeah. Because you could turn.
Going fast.
That's funny.
I just wasn't the ones in the crash.
Wow. So the first one I did, I won that. They did the two qualifiers, but I was like third or fourth in the actual. But it's tough because, like you said, the crash. I was in second, right behind first, and a guy came from the back and jumped across the course and landed on me and got stuck. And at that point, you're just.
I think I may have caught that on video.
Oh yeah, it took a while to undo them, and at that point, it was just trying to catch up.
I mean, the whole course is barely 3 trucks wide.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of room for the thing.
It was really fun though. Like I would never want to do it where it counted for anything, because you do have that like where people in last can take you out on accident. But for just fun, like racing each other for fun, it was some of the most fun I've had doing racing. So talk about USTE. You've been several years now.
I've been there every single year.
Every single year since it started.
Yes.
And
the very first one, it was awesome. I was able to get a lot of video out of it, and the trail work that they put in. You saw the trail work. They're up there working 3 to 4 months before we ever get out there, and they're only open for the event. Then as soon as everything is closed up, they open the gates and the cows come back in.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's just for that one event. And Rob, he's just done a phenomenal job. He has a great team behind him.
Yeah, he does.
It's just a phenomenal job, and they've got better every single year.
So why do you come back year after year? So that'd be the question I'd ask you. Like, what makes you've been there now, you've seen it, you've done it. What brings you back every year?
Because it's just a phenomenal event. I mean, it really is. It's just phenomenal the way it flows, the way there's always something going on. Even if you don't have the capabilities to get out on the trails, there's enough going on right there in the main area that you got plenty to do. It's just awesome. And then all the vendors, I always go there ready to do some shopping every time. And I'll never leave empty-handed.
Yeah, I did not leave empty-handed. It was my first time there. Mm-hmm. And, because again, we get a little bit different perspective as people trying to make content. I hung around the middle probably too much because I was trying to get everything that was happening to show all the different elements of it. Mm-hmm. But for somebody that's just coming, that's a big trail guy, I saw some of them park their cars and go straight to the trails, and and then you'd see them come back hours later. Like, that they were literally there to hit what they'd built for them, which is awesome to know that people were out there enjoying what they spent so much time building. But then if there wasn't, like for my wife or for anybody else that may have just been sitting around, there was so much going on in that center to just watch and take in. Is very cool.
I think it was a couple years ago, the Gen 8 was fresh. It was fresh to the market and all that. So me and three other guys, we made it a goal to hit every single trail with the Gen 8.
Wow.
And we did. Man, our knees were hurting.
I'm
Our
going to
feet
say.
were hurting. We were wore out. Man, but we got every single trail there with Gen 8.
Wow. That's really impressive.
It was a lot of walking.
In some of those trails, you know, I know it's built for the dollhouse trucks, but some of them have some very tricky spots, like that
Yes.
that log that I just didn't even. After a second, I just gave up on because we were trying to get to the bridge. Your truck split it super. I mean, it's first try easy for you, but with my dollhouse, it would have taken me several attempts, especially with the slippery wheels that I had, to try and get the wheels on that thing just right to make it across.
Right. Well, I mean, I was running the J Concepts landmines. Those are phenomenal tires, especially around this area. You know, they were larger and everything, so I kind of had a pretty big advantage.
Yeah.
You guys, you and Rich, you know,
Yeah.
from J Concepts.
When I was running 1.7s, so, and it's a narrow truck. Yeah.
And I'm driving a monster truck around.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I took the SCX10 out the next day, and it was awesome. So, but okay, we'll wrap up here. I'll have to have you on some other time. There's so many questions I would love to ask you. But somebody new, like you're saying, you try and present the positive side of the hobby. Why do you RC? What would you tell somebody about why they should get into it? If they were really on the edge of like, is this something that it's really worth doing?
RC, when you look at hobbies, you know, there are good hobbies and there are bad hobbies. There are good habits and bad habits. RC, I think, is one of the cleanest and best hobbies out there. If you're young and you're getting into RC, these things behind me, you're going to have to work on them. So you're going to gain skills, mechanical skills. You're going to learn gearing, power, steering, geometry, all these things. So you gain skills that, believe it or not, they do translate to the real world. You know, gear mesh, setting that stuff up right, you actually can use that, especially if you're like me as a mechanic. That's my day job. So, and there's so much to learn, and there's so much you can do with it. So many aspects. You got the crawlers, you got the bashers, you got the racers, you got boats, you got planes, helicopters, and there's so many different ways to drive them. And you know, there's no real wrong way to drive them as long as you're leaving with a smile on your face and having fun.
That's awesome. That is so true. And I am not a mechanic. My dad taught me nothing about cars. And everything that I've learned about how they operate has been from remote control cars.
There's a lot of mechanics. These are machines.
Yeah.
They are.
So I tell people, I'm like, I feel so much more confident doing anything with my car now, real car or RV, whatever, looking at what's going on with it after having driven these and seeing, you know, you go into a Jeep store or whatever and look at the aftermarket parts, and they look like the ones that they sell for the SCX10s, the same setups.
Have you seen the Instagram post from Scalar Fab?
No.
People are buying his bumpers.
Oh, yes.
And they're mad because they come in a box like this.
Yeah, and it says everywhere that it's scale and not for a real size truck.
Scalar Fab.
Yeah.
So, and actually Troy started right here in Jacksonville with me.
Okay.
He actually helped me clear the tree limbs behind our hobby world and build our first crawler course.
That's amazing.
He brought his tractor and helped us build our racetrack.
That's so cool. Small world, man. They're good people. They're very good people. I just bought parts for them for my SCX-10 III that I picked up there. And then I saw his UMG 10, which is a truck I wanted to build to bring down there, and I just ran out of time. So I got it after seeing all the upgrades Scalar Fab had for it, and I promptly ordered all of their upgrade parts, bumpers, you name it, what they had for it, the side rails and all that, skid plates, this kind of stuff.
Speaking of small world, remember RC Car Action?
Yes.
Like the late 80s and early 90s?
Yep.
I had an editor in there named Wally David.
Okay.
Does that name ring a bell?
Wally David.
Yeah, he used to do the editorials and all for RC Car Action. Well, he actually lives here in Jacksonville now.
Oh, really?
He was actually working with me at the track for race directing. I was race directing, and it was my turn to race. And I said, "Have you got this?" He goes, "Yeah." I handed him the mic, and I knew at that point I was out of a job. He was that good with the computer and just calling out the laps and everything.
Wow.
He owned it at that point. He was awesome.
Very cool. So, yeah, I don't know where you are. You're in Florida.
I'm just west of Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. And you had just done the thing with JER RC too. I just saw that video you'd posted.
Went up there, saw him.
With his chassis and that. I just posted a video showing the bolt-on one. And running that. That definitely shortens up the truck so you can put any type of body on it that you want. That's been sold for like the SMT 10s and stuff. So that's nice. But anyway, man, it's very good chatting with you again.
This was awesome.
I don't want to take up your whole night. I feel like I could sit here and talk for hours about YouTube, about cars, about...
Probably could.
And so I'm going to keep it short because we're about 45 or 55 minutes, but take away about 5 because we had a technical glitch that people won't know about. But we did. We had my internet die in the middle of this. So
I was trying to show my tires, and I showed my LMT and everything, mentioned the Vitavon arms.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
Have a little advertisement. Wait, what's that for? What's that arm for?
These are for the LMT.
Oh my goodness. So
yeah, so I can see.
Oh, so no rod ends.
There are no rod ends. It's full 70-75, and I can't show you.
Get rid of the slop.
I will in the video. You know how you get some of these rod ends in the middle, and they got that cheap pressed in piece that comes out.
Yeah,
these aren't.
It's captured.
Yeah, it's full captured. It's machined into it, and the ball is actually like a 2-piece deal. Once it's in here, it's in here.
That's wild.
And it doesn't come out. As far as the slot goes, I would have to say probably less than a millimeter. You have to have room to work.
Right.
But
the current one, you can pick the truck up and go like this, and the whole thing shakes left to right. Especially mine.
Those side hitches weak. Those 4-link.
Yeah, I finally broke one of the 4-links, which I'd ordered an extra set just to have on hand. I was trying to get a bunch of spare parts, grub screws, all that kind of stuff. And I like to be the guy at the track. If somebody needs something, I have it. So I'll have rod ends. I'll have extra links in case somebody bends one or whatever. But yeah, so I'll be able to replace it. But I'm going to need to get those for my bash truck. Not necessarily, maybe my race truck too, if it really takes the slop out.
These things are awesome.
Let me know if it keeps it driving straighter. You know, because they kind of twist a little. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually got it showed where I was shaking the truck like this. Once I put these on, I'm going to show the difference.
Okay. I'm just curious if it does on the ground. I call it skating. Like, I don't know why. It's like skating on ice or whatever, sliding. But it tends to do that.
Yeah, I have million weight in the rear diff of my LMT too. So that may make it slide a little bit too. It's great for donuts.
Yeah, I saw you when you're trying to get it to do donuts out there. Yeah. And then you're like, that might be too much.
I've got a video tomorrow that's coming out showing the Bauhaus low center of gravity battery tray.
Okay. The Meta one?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So I got that, and I sent him a few more ideas.
Nice.
To help get that CD down a little bit. In the stock chassis, by the way.
That's cool. It does look cool. The stock chassis looks cool. I know that there's weight up there and the racers but I tell you, mine felt really good when we raced it the other day. I hope that they keep a fairly stock class to the point of, I don't know, part of me wants them to keep the chassis, like make it not be taken off just because of that weight. Because the way that the shocks work with that upper weight, like shock on axle, you do monster truck stuff. It's tough to do, right? But that truck, when you jump it,
They got it.
it lands, man.
It does.
It's very impressive for on axle shock setup.
If they require the factory chassis, factory axle, has to be about the main thing you'd have to keep it at LMT, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if they'd allow shock on. Well, could they change the trailing arms? Because at some point it'd be.
Guys already making trailing arms for it.
But would you allow that in the class? Because at that point, why not just put it in Pro Mod?
True.
I think that the shock on axle, they've been trying to get that where it's a more of a real monster truck looking class. I think that would be the one. Some people are doing a regulator. No, not regulator. What they call that class? Renegades? Renegades class, I think. Where it has to be shock on axle, has to have a full cage. It can't be like the little boxes with all the holes to put ever. It has to look like a monster truck chassis.
Some of those quad busters, the way they're set up.
Yep, it has to be shaft driven. Yep, and so they want it to be more real, handle more realistically. And that's what I'm thinking. Man, the LMT class could almost be that. If you force them to stay shock on axle. Force stock axles, yeah.
What if they also limit it to 2S, make it kind of like a bracket spec class?
The only problem with that is if people buy kits. If people buy kits, they would have to get a spec motor then, which is fine. The stock motor is not a bad spec motor because then people can just buy it out of the box and race. I think that's more important than anything is to have a class where somebody could just walk into the hobby shop, buy it, and start enjoying the league.
We did that with our scalers with the Gen 7.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it was actually a good class, but after 3 years, it just went away.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could buy a box stock $200 truck and go out there and compete with other box stock. I say box stock. We had to have a few durability mods to it.
Yeah.
Metal spools, different things like that.
Yeah. That I could see people allowing different servos, things like even in the spec, like, okay, so somebody could use the stock one out of the truck, but why not allow them to have one that's a little more durable or a little faster? But even the gearing's not, or the motors we found wasn't too bad because if you're running a stock truck, people can put like massive things in and run 4S, but you're still overpowered. Like either way, the stock one's overpowered or the one that you put in is overpowered. So and just like you were driving like half throttle, yeah, you
get somebody with less experience and they try to pull full throttle on that, you just beat them.
Yep. So it wouldn't be an advantage to go bigger with the motor. Maybe to have something censored would be an advantage.
Censored.
It would definitely be an advantage, but yeah. Otherwise, you could race them with diff oils and stuff like that to tune them. Which they're not going to be able to regulate because they're not going to be able to check that anyway. And for maintenance reasons, people have to open up and work on stuff. So, right. Yeah, I just hope my main thing is I want the shocks on the axles if I were to choose something. But
that is a very scale aspect of it because you don't see any real monster trucks with shocks on arms and all that.
Yeah, and it's a distinct advantage too, like against the people that might have a box stock. But anyway, Joe, I keep on thinking of things to talk about, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it here, and we'll just have to agree to do another one of these. Maybe we'll do a live one so other people can ask questions and pop in there. So, well, thanks for jumping in here, and I know you got projects to get to, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for everybody for tuning in and watching.
Thank you for having me.